Lesbian detectives. Unsolved cases. She's still missing. Yeah, they haven't found her yet. Well, let's talk about it.
They say he vanished without a trace. Could it be a psychotic break or a tragic accident? Police don't know where the body went. Unsolved murders, body still missing. That's unheard. Where's the witness? Lesbian detectives, what's going on? City on high alert, this out the norm. He did what, the who? Man, that ain't real, these crimes ain't true. Then come uncover these theories with us. We live right now, tuning in is a must.
Right now. Lesbian detective. Lesbian detective. We about to start the show, so get your popcorn ready, let's go. Pay attention to the message. I present to you the Lesbian Detectives.
This is Lesbian Detectives. I'm a player.
And I'm a guard.
And we are talking about missing and unsolved murders.
We are discussing cases that you have forgotten about or never even heard of.
So sit back, relax, and let's start this podcast. We're a little different today. If you can see us on YouTube, we have our Halloween costume on. And for people in the podcast that can't see us yet, I am a player and my wife is a
Guard from Squid Games.
and our daughter will be the doll. You know, the doll that go like, red light, green light, red light, green light. She'll be that. I will post all our cute pictures and videos this afternoon when this episode drop on Friday. So please stay tuned. Check on all our social media and also my wife's costume from her job when they do it. So you can see her costume from work too. So check out our social medias to see our costumes all together. And this was my wife pick this year. She wanted to do Squid Games.
I love Squid Games.
She do. I wanted to be the guard, but she got the costume first, and I'm like, dang, I'll be the player. But she the guard and the player, and I'm like, what player I want to be? I don't want to be like the main guy. And I really like 222. Well, 222. She was my favorite. May she rest in peace. And after I picked my player, I was like, oh, I should have put my daughter as the baby. I should have like wrapped her up in the jacket. But she's too big to be that. She's way too big, and she's not going to want to stay in that.
She's too bad.
Yeah. And she's not going to want to stay in that. She's not. She likes her costume as the doll, so we're going to keep it as that. This is a big trigger warning case. This case right here, it is very, very gruesome. And please be respectful to the victim and the people that's in this case. Now, let's get into the episode. It was Halloween night, 2008, in Redmond, Washington. The streets are alive with laughter, children darting from house to house, and the distant pulse of party music drifting from apartment to apartment. Pumpkins' lights flicker in windows, casting dancing shadows on the crisp autumn walls, and the air carries the faint scent of falling leaves and wood smoke. Inside one building, the Valley View apartment, the hallways are filled with excitement. Residents in costume weave through the corridor, carrying treats and drinks, laughing, joking, and pausing for photos. But on the top floor behind one door, the night will take a turn so dark it will linger in whispers and memories for years to come. The young woman living there was vibrant and full of life. Her home was tidy and welcoming, a small sanctuary decorated with reminders of family, culture, and the things she loves. That evening, she opened the doors to friends and neighbors, transforming her apartment into a haunted forest, a place of joy and imagination and laughter. But as the night stretched on, something shifted. A party with celebration will soon become a scene of chaos and horror. And by morning, the life and light that had filled the apartment would be gone, leaving behind questions that will echo for years. And who could have done such a thing? and why. Tonight, we begin at the beginning, tracing the footstep, the shadows, and the moment that led from the laughter to the tragedy. We follow the story of a young woman whose life was cut short and whose memory continued to haunt those who knew her. This is a case of Arpana Jinaga.
Arpana Jinaga, born on November the 3rd, 1984, in India. Her father, Dr. B. Jinaga, a respected professor of computer engineering, and her mother, Nirmala, nurtured her endless curiosity. From an early age, she drew, wrote, and tumbled through gymnastics, but she also designed gadgets and competed internationally in engineering contests. By her teenage years, she had already gained national recognition for her designs, including a communications jammer that placed her among the top 20 finalists in India's IEEE contest. After completing her undergraduate degree, moved to the United States to go after a master's. Upon graduating in 2007, she relocated to Redmond, Washington, for a position at EMC Corporation, quickly rising to lead programmer by October 2008. But beyond her career, Arpana thrived in life, riding her motorcycle, practicing taekwondo, volunteering at animal shelters, and creating a home filled with reminders of India. By late October, Arpana's apartment had been transformed for the annual Valley View Halloween party. She created a haunted forest inside her third-floor apartment. Dim lights, paper trees, hanging cobwebs, and shadows dancing on the walls. She herself wore a Little Red Riding Hood costume, her red hood glowing against the eerie interior. Guests moved from apartment to apartment, laughing, dancing, and snapping photos. Arpana floated among them, offering drinks, adjusting lights, chatting, radiant, warm, and full of life. By 3 a.m., the party had begun to wind down. Most guests drifted to the first floor, while Arpana said her goodbyes and walked back to her top floor apartment. That's where the night began to turn dark. A family friend named Jay worried after repeated unanswered calls from Arpana's family in India. Arrived at the Valley View apartments, he was accompanied by Cameron Johnson, a neighbor who had helped Arpana in the past and was familiar with the building. When they reached her third-floor apartment, something immediately felt wrong. The door looked battered, as if someone had kicked it in. The lock and door frame were damaged. A violent entry into what should have been a safe home. Jay exchanged a concerned glance with Cameron, and cautiously, they pushed the door open. The apartment was quiet, unnerving. The air smelled sharp, a mix of bleach, cleaning agents, and motor oil that stung their noses and made their eyes water. Furniture was overturned, cushions scattered, and sheets stripped from the bed. Each step deeper into the apartment made the atmosphere feel heavier, more harsh. They called out her name. "Arpana, are you still here? Arpana, are you here?" Their voices echoed off the walls, met only with silence. The tension mounted with each passing second. It took several minutes of careful, creeping movements through the living room, past the kitchen, and finally into the bedroom before they saw her. There, lying face down beside her bed, was Arpana. She was nude, wrapped tightly in a blue blanket, her body motionless. The sight froze them in place. Jay quickly reached for his phone to call the police, hands trembling, while Cameron stood silently, struggling to comprehend what they were seeing. From the moment they first entered the apartment to the moment they found her body, it had taken nearly 10 nerve-wracking minutes. 10 minutes of creeping through a place that had once been vibrant, filled with life and laughter, now a scene of unimaginable horror. The realization hit them both. This was no accident. Something violent, deliberate, and horrible had happened here. The door, the disarray, the smells, it was all evidence that someone had come with intent, and that Arpana's life, had been stolen in the shadows of what should have been a night of celebration. The discovery of Arpana's body on November the 3rd, 2008, marked the beginning of a complex and grueling investigation. Detectives arrived at apartment 8946 and were immediately struck by the scene. The forced entry was obvious. The door had been battered, the lock damaged, as if someone had kicked their way inside. Furniture was overturned, sheets stripped from the bed, and cleaning agents, motor oil, hung heavily in the air. Burn marks marred the carpet, and partially destroyed items were found discarded in a dumpster outside. The King County detectives knew from the outset that they were dealing with a crime that had been carefully concealed, yet poorly enough to leave traces. Arpana had been sexually assaulted, strangled with a ligature, and subjected to blunt force trauma. Motor oil and bleach had been poured over her and throughout the apartment in an attempt to destroy DNA evidence. Detectives collected every possible clue. They dusted for fingerprints, swabbed surfaces for DNA, photographed the chaotic scene from every angle, and meticulously cataloged the items in the dumpster. Investigators later described the scene as a mix of precision and panic. A criminal who had tried to erase evidence but left enough behind to point towards the perpetrator. The DNA evidence was complicated. Multiple individuals' genetic material was found across the apartment, on duct tape, a red bathrobe, motor oil containers, and even on the blue blanket in which Arpana had been wrapped. Analysts worked tirelessly trying to separate the mixtures and identify reliable profiles. One profile kept appearing in key locations. Emmanuel Fair, a 25-year-old man with a criminal record including violent offenses and sexual crimes. His DNA was found on the tape used to gag Arpana, on her neck, and on several items recovered from the dumpster. Phone records also contradicted his statements. Fair had claimed that he went to sleep around 1 a.m., but records show multiple calls between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m., hours during which Arpana was still alive. Yet Emmanuel Fair was not the only person under investigation. Cameron Johnson, Arpana's downstairs neighbor, became a figure of intense scrutiny, DNA matching. Johnson's DNA was found on the blue blanket, the motor oil container, and some of the partially burned items retrieved from the dumpster. Phone records added another layer of suspicion. Johnson had made 2 calls to Arpana around 3 a.m., contradicting his claim that he had gone to bed around midnight. Investigators found these calls particularly troubling. Or did they indicate involvement in the events that led to her death? Detectives interrogated Johnson multiple times, reviewing his movements, his phone activity, and his connections to the party. Johnson consistently denied involvement in the murder and passed a polygraph test. Still, the combination of DNA evidence, late-night calls, and proximity to the crime scene made him a person of interest, a shadow lingering at the edges of the investigation. The dumpster behind the apartment complex told another part of the story. Burned and blood-stained items were found, including a red bathrobe, parts of Arpana's Little Red Riding Hood costume, and a bottle of motor oil. Investigators theorized that someone had attempted to destroy evidence, burn bleach and oil to erase DNA and fingerprints. Yet these attempts were sloppy. DNA traces remained on the bag, the robe, and the oil bottle, including material from both Fair and Johnson. Detectives faced a complex puzzle, multiple suspects, overlapping DNA, a crime scene that had been both meticulously cleaned and violently disrupted, and a timeline that required painstaking reconstruction. Years passed after Arpana Jinaga's death, but the case remained unsolved. Finally, in October 2010, prosecutors formally charged Emmanuel Fair with first-degree murder and sexual motivation crimes. His trial didn't begin until February 2017, almost a decade after the fateful Halloween night. The courtroom was tense from day one. Prosecutors laid out their narrative. Fair, they argued, had attended the party, targeted Arpana, and killed her in a deliberate act of violence. DNA evidence was central to their case. Fair genetic material had been found on duct tape used to gag her, on the red bathrobe recovered from the dumpster, and even on her neck. Phone records contradicted his alibi. He claimed to have gone to sleep around 1 a.m., yet calls showed he was still active between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. during the critical hours when Arpana was still alive. The prosecution walked the jury through the chaos in her apartment. The battered door, overturned furniture, burn marks, and the heavy smell of bleach and motor oil. Each detail painted a picture of premeditation and an attempt to destroy evidence, a grim orchestration by someone who had intended to leave no trace, yet had left DNA behind. The defense, however, challenged every element of the prosecution's narrative. They highlighted the complexity of the DNA evidence. The apartment had been filled with dozens of people that night, all moving between rooms, touching surfaces, handling food, drinks, and decorations. Could Fair's DNA have transferred innocently? The defense argued yes. The defense also raised Cameron Johnson as a potential alternate suspect. Johnson's DNA had been found on the blanket, the motor oil container, and in the bag containing the burned bathrobe. Phone records placed Johnson in contact with Arpana around 3 a.m., hours after he claimed that he had gone to bed. The defense emphasized these inconsistencies, casting doubt on whether Fair was truly the perpetrator or whether the investigation had overlooked other possible suspects. Expert witnesses were called to explain the DNA mixtures, the challenges of analyzing items contaminated with bleach and motor oil, and why definite conclusions were difficult. Every technical detail was used to challenge the prosecution's case, and the courtroom buzzed with tension as experts debated the reliability of forensic evidence. Neighbors, friends, and co-workers described Arpana's character: diligent, bright, kind, and full of life. They recounted the party, the laughter, the movement between apartments, and the eventual worry when Arpana disappeared. Testimonies highlighted her independence, her vibrant personality, and the shock felt by the community when her life was cut short. The investigators described the scene they encountered on November the 3rd, from the battered door to the chaotic apartment, the overturned furniture, and the motor oil and bleach. Each detail reinforced the brutality and deliberate nature of the crime. After weeks of testimony, the jury deliberated. But the complexity of the evidence, the crowded party, the presence of multiple DNA profiles, and the uncertainty surrounded Cameron Johnson, creating a fog of reasonable doubt. In the end, the jury could not reach a unanimous verdict. The trial ended in a hung jury, leaving Emmanuel Fair in custody, yet the case unsolved. 2 years later, Fair's trial resumed. Prosecutors doubled down, emphasizing the DNA evidence and phone records that placed him in proximity to Arpana during the critical hours. They walked the jury through the chaos in her apartment, the signs of forced entry, and the deliberate attempts to destroy evidence. The defense, again, spotlighted Cameron Johnson. They argued that his DNA on key items and the late-night phone calls created reasonable doubt about Fair's guilt. The argument was simple but powerful. If Johnson could be ruled out as a suspect, the state could not claim to prove Fair's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. The courtroom was tense, almost theatrical. Jurors leaned forward during expert testimony, listened intently to the details of the forced entry, and followed the timeline of calls and DNA analysis, like detectives themselves. Every scrap of evidence, every witness statement, every technical explanation was a puzzle piece in a labyrinth case. After weeks of deliberation, the jury returned with a verdict: not guilty. Fair was acquitted. Justice, at least in the eyes of the law, had been served. The truth of that night remained elusive. Cameron Johnson, while suspicious, was never charged. The brutal murder of Arpana remained unsolved. Fair later filed a federal civil rights lawsuit alleging racial bias and mistreatment during his custody. Portions of his claims proceeded in court. But for Arpana's family and friends, the emotional wound remained wide open. The murder of Arpana Jinaga continues to haunt those who knew her. Her parents, still in India, endured the pain of unanswered questions. Friends and classmates post tributes each year, remembering her intelligence, her smile, her energy, and the brilliance of a life cut tragically short. Valley View Apartment Halloween 2008 is no longer remembered for the celebration, but for the shadows, the forced entry, and the young woman whose life was stolen. And still, the question lingers: who killed Arpana and why? As we close tonight's episode, let us take a moment to remember Arpana, not just the victim of a horrific crime, but as the vibrant, brilliant young woman she truly was. Arpana was more than a name in a news report. She was a daughter who called her parents faithfully every week, a sister who shared laughter and secrets with her younger sibling, and a friend whose warmth could light up a room. She was a mind that never stopped exploring, whether through engineering projects that earned national recognition, through technology she pushed boundaries, or though the small, everyday joys of life, riding her Suzuki motorcycle through winding roads, practicing taekwondo, volunteering at animal shelters, or decorating her apartment with reminders of home. She had a spark that drew people in. Colleagues admired her diligence and curiosity. Neighbors loved her friendliness, and friends remembered her laughter, her creativity, and her generous spirit. She celebrated life fully, and on that Halloween night, she had opened her home to share joy with others, transforming her apartment into a haunted forest of imagination and fun. Though her life was tragically cut short, Arpana's memory endures. Each November, friends and classmates post tributes, sharing her smile, her achievements, and the moment of joy that defined her. She remains a reminder of brilliance, courage, and warmth. A young woman who left a mark on everyone she met. Her story is also a stark reminder of the fragility of life and the darkness that can exist even in places we consider safe. But beyond the mystery, the investigation, and the courtroom battles, we must remember Arpana herself, the person she was, the life she lived, and the love she gave. So tonight, as we reflect on this case, let us honor her memory by remembering her laughter, her intelligence, her kindness, and the extraordinary spirit of a young woman whose light will never fade. This is the case of Arpana Jinaga. Now let's get into some theories.
Theories. Halloween.
Let's get into some theories. Everyone is a suspect until proven guilty. Let's get into some theories. Let's begin detectives. What type of thoughts you thinking? What theories running through your mind? I'm thinking all types of suspicion. Uncover the truth, what we can find. Witness say they saw somebody creeping out the back door. What you think they did it for? That's so crazy, I'm not sure. They found a car, where could she be? Here go another puzzle piece. Researching through your history. It's plenty unsolved mysteries. Everyone is a suspect until proven guilty. Let's get into some theories, yeah. Let's get into some theories. Everyone is a suspect until proven guilty. Let's get into some theories. Let's begin detectives.
You or me?
Go ahead.
Let me tell you something. I'm going to say it out loud. I think it was Cameron. I think they went for Mr. Fair because of his past. I'm not saying he was a good guy or a bad guy, but he did have a history. So I think they went for him like, oh, like Cameron doesn't have a history. He seemed like a stand-up guy. Let's look at this man that has all of these charges, all of this history of doing bad things. But with Cameron, I'm looking like, okay, he called her around 3 o'clock. They say that she probably was unalive between 3 to 5, right? That was a time period. It seemed to me Cameron liked her. I feel like Cameron probably had a crush on her. And knowing the Indian culture, they do have like arranged marriages, or they have a certain type of person they'll allow in their family to be married, you know? So to me, I don't know if she liked Cameron at all, or they was like in a secret relationship. I don't know. But to me, for Cameron's stuff to be on so much items, it make no sense. Because to me, Cameron could have said like, oh yeah, we was in a relationship. That's why my fingerprints, my DNA's on her bathrobe, is on this. But he never really said that. You know, he kept that hush hush. So why is your DNA on her bathrobe? It's like, did y'all really look into Cameron? I feel like they looked at him, but they really didn't look. They was too focused on Fair. And I feel like, no offense, his lawyers was good. They were like, okay, what about this other guy that has to say, like, his DNA is on the stuff too? Why isn't he on trial? What's going on with that situation? I don't know if Fair, because it was a big party. Everybody was going to apartment. I don't know if he snuck in the party and was like, you know, looking at stuff, you know, touching stuff. I don't know. But I feel like the police went for him too heavy. I feel like they should have did a little bit more research in Cameron history and background. Because what if he had like stalker behavior? He was right under her. He called her at 3 o'clock. Almost that time period. I think she probably was like, no, I don't like you. Like, leave me alone. Like, I don't see you that way. I see you as a friend. That's why the door was probably kicked in, because she probably like slammed the door in his face and he had to kick it in to get in because he was mad. Rejection. A lot of guys don't like rejection. They think if a woman like them, we have to like them back. No, we have free will.
If a woman likes,
Like, no. A guy feel like if they like a woman, that the woman automatically gotta like them back. Like, oh, I have feelings for you. You need to like me too. But that's not how life is. Sometimes you're gonna get women that like you. Sometimes you not. Take that no and be a man and walk off. I'm focused on Cameron. Let's look into him really. Because he kind of got away with it if it's really him, because he had somebody kind of to take the fall. I'm not saying the other guy didn't do it, because I don't know. But it seemed like they focused too much on him. I'm just putting it out there.
so what if it was both?
I mean, that's a possibility too.
Because they both lied and they said that they went to bed around midnight.
Mm-hmm.
And it was clearly not true. Fair, I think they said they saw calls from 3 to 5 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And Cameron, they saw a call at 3 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
So they were both still awake.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much, I feel like they were both at the party.
Mm-hmm.
What sticks out about Cameron is the DNA in the blanket.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to somebody's party, my DNA is not going to be in a blanket.
Right.
It might be in the kitchen, in a cup, in the restroom, but not so intimate as to somebody's blanket.
Mm-hmm.
Unless, you know, you basically, like, he was in her bedroom for a reason. She was sexually assaulted.
Mm-hmm.
So Cameron is probably noticing that he left his evidence. So he's probably trying to grab the motor oil. He doesn't know what exactly he needs to do. He's starting to panic. He's getting kind of sloppy and he's just trying to destroy the evidence.
Mm-hmm.
The other dude, he had sexually assaulted before, so he has a little bit more experience.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't really believe people change like that. Not those type of people.
Right.
So that's why I kind of think that it was the both of them.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just one was more sloppy with it than the other.
Mm-hmm.
And the other probably learned from experience.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I just think because Cameron went with a friend of the family to see, like, if his DNA was like, it's certain things that didn't make sense to me. I don't know what he told the police in the interview. We never really know what was discussed there because they will keep it hush hush. But to me, like, Cameron went inside the apartment with a friend of the family. I wonder if the friend of the family can look back, like, look at how Cameron was really acting, like, see, like, okay, like, did he do this? Was he like trying to, like, make the other guy go forward so he can find a body? So he was like, yeah, I didn't find a body, because it seemed like Jay, the family friend, he touched her. He like, oh my God, like, he got the phone. Like, his DNA is not really on the scene like that. But Cameron, who was kind of like chilled back, his DNA was everywhere. Like, that's like kind of.
Yeah, and then he had somebody go with him.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you getting somebody else involved if you know that something's going on?
Well, the family called the family friend to come and check.
But why did he bring Cameron?
The family friend felt like Cameron knew the apartment, it's a lot. That's why I'm saying it's a lot of things that make you sit back and question, like, why was Cameron there?
How did Cameron know the apartment? He had been there a couple times?
Yeah, they was so-called friends.
Yeah.
It's a lot, but the DNA on the robe, like, why you DNA on her robe? Why?
And her blanket.
Why?
And the trash.
Everywhere. Like, to me, it makes no sense. And even the guy, I'm like, why was your DNA there too? Like, there's another thing, like, why was his DNA on so much of her stuff?
Mm-hmm.
But also, like, what if he worked, like, the duct tape? You can say this right here, like, oh, he worked at the company that, like, handled the duct tape. I mean, you can say that too. There's a lot of things that you can count out. But my thing is Cameron. I don't know. It's just something about him. I just wish the police really looked into his background. Like, they're like, like, okay, we polygraph him. We some of the stuff not making sense, I don't know. This story is just, you got two guys that you looking at, like, who could have done it. So I'm going to put a poll on Spotify. I don't know if I could do it on Apple, but I'll put it on Spotify. And I will put it on YouTube and see who did it. What do you think it was? Cameron or Fair?
Or both.
Or both. Okay, I'm going to add both. My wife said add both. So let me know who, or you think it's a stranger. Add 4 things to it. Cameron, Fair, stranger, or both. Let me know what you think, because I want to hear it, because I'm stuck and I want to hear your guys' theories. And happy Halloween. Don't eat too much candy and don't turn up too much.
Check your candy.
Check your, Halloween tips now. Check your candy. Don't drink too much. If you're going out, get a designated driver, guys. Yes, we're doing auntie rolls right now. And get home safe. Please. It's dangerous out there in the world. Please, I don't want to hear no stories about anybody that got hurt on Halloween. So check your candy, check your drinks. If you leave your drink, don't drink it no more. I know drinks are high, but
check your wife, check your kids.
I'm telling you guys, she had like dad jokes all the time. I'm just going to leave the episode. Let's just end the episode here, guys. We are on social medias. Check our social medias so you can see the rest of our costumes. We are on YouTube. Check out YouTube to see us in our costumes. And give us a 5-star rating. Tell everybody why you like our podcast. I cannot wait to hear and read you guys' rating. This is Lesbian Detective. Don't forget, everybody's a suspect.
So proven innocent.
Happy Halloween.
Lesbian detective. Unsolved cases. She's still missing. Yeah, they haven't found her yet. Well, let's talk about it. They say he vanished without a trace. Could it be a psychotic break? Or a tragic accident? Police don't know where the body went. Unsolved murders, body still missing. That's unheard. Where's the witness? Lesbian detectives, what's going on? City on high alert, this out the norm. He did what, the who? Man, that ain't real, these crimes ain't true. Then come uncover these theories with us. We live right now, tuning in is a must. Right now. Lesbian detective. Lesbian detective. We about to start the show, so get your popcorn ready, let's go. Pay attention to the message I present to you, the Lesbian Detectives.